Hello, everyone. This is Jun,
And I'm Daniel,
and we are Korean.
American.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Jun.
I want to share with you news today
Yeah,
as we open the podcast.
yeah.
You probably know about the tragic incident of the actor Lee Sun-kyun's suicide.
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
huge.
Mhm.
Today, I think a couple hours ago, as we record,
Oh, really? Mhm.
yeah, there was a press conference with the lead of director Bong
Mhm.
of Parasite,
Mhm. Mhm.
along with some other prominent figures in the art scene.
Yeah.
So they opened a press conference, I think, in reaction to the incident,
Mm.
asking for, first of all, to the police, deeper investigation
Mm.
to the incident,
Mhm.
and then for journalists to improve journalistic ethics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's somewhat related to the cause of it. And then also legislative actions for protecting human rights of celebrities.
Mm.
So, yeah, that just happened a couple hours ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, if some, lasting change can come into play because of this tragedy, I think that'll be, something at least positive that can come from this. But yeah, when my wife and I found out about the news, I think it was, towards the very end of last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were both like really deeply kind of troubled.
Mm.
And not that we're not super close or mega fans of him or anything, although he is one of my favorite actors. I think I
Mm-mm.
really enjoyed him in My Mister.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, he was great in Parasite.
Mm.
But just like someone at kind of the peak of their fame,
Mm.
so, suddenly ending their own life,
Yeah.
it's really crazy. And
Mm.
then obviously there were some conspiracy theories too,
Yeah.
right? Why does the government or law enforcement start tackling these like kind of civilian drug cases?
Mm.
The timing always seems to coincide with some political
Mm-mm.
thing that maybe they're trying to distract the press or whatever. But
Yeah.
but even still, yeah, we were really, really troubled by it. So yeah, I would love, if you're okay, to talk about this topic today of suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to go a little bit into the incident itself, or should we just talk about suicide?
Yeah, let's talk about this incident in particular, and then I'd love to take a step back and talk about suicide at large across Korea.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in a nutshell, okay, I'll just do a reading
Yeah.
of important timelines. On October 19th of last year, 2023,
Mm-hmm.
the Incheon Metropolitan Police Agency's Narcotics Crime Investigation Division, oh, that's a long name, announced that it was investigating 8 people, including a 40-year-old male movie actor,
Mhm.
L, at the time,
Mm-hmm.
on charges of violating the Narcotics Control Act, and actor L was revealed to be Lee Sun-kyun.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a problem, I think, that the press release today is trying to point out
Mm-hmm.
about journalistic ethics.
Yeah.
How people immediately got to know who it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was leaked probably, like, initially, I mean, obviously from the police, which is a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and then spread out by press.
Mm-hmm.
So Lee Sun-kyun was suspected of drug use as he was under internal investigation before being charged, but the police were known to have found specific clues related to drug use, and Lee Sun-kyun died by suicide at the age of 48
Mm-hmm.
on December 27th.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just this all happened within 2 months.
Yeah.
While parked in a vehicle in a parking lot of some park
Mm-hmm.
in the north part of Seoul.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the whole incident in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of scandalous things that are unraveling as we
Mhm.
talk. But we don't want to go deep into that, right?
No, I don't think we need to.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we maybe start with the topic of drugs to begin with? I think there were 2 main things here, or maybe 3, and you could hopefully clarify.
Yeah.
Started off with the drug
Mm.
use, right? Which is, I guess, really taboo in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
It then moved on to some, I guess, marriage infidelity type things, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
With some blackmail.
Yes.
And then I think finally, third one was the financial impact
Mhm.
of him possibly, all this would have resulted in like really severe financial repercussions for him
Mhm.
and his family.
Mm.
And ultimately, I think that's what a lot of people are speculating led him to finally actually commit suicide, right?
Mm-mm.
But yeah, let's tackle those three in turn maybe, because I
Mm.
think those are kind of the major
Mm.
driving forces behind what he did.
Yeah. So to start with drug use, I think the government is really focusing on acting on drug issues in
Mm-hmm.
Korea.
Yeah.
Drug issues are very, I think, still very foreign to Koreans because
Mm-hmm.
it never was a thing. I mean, there were drug uses here and there. It was never non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
but still, it wasn't as a social issue before because it wasn't as serious, I think. I mean, so yeah, there were drug uses.
Yeah.
I think mostly amongst gang members and all,
Mm.
but it wasn't that serious.
I see.
But it became very serious, and then I mean, we witnessed that it's starting to infiltrate to like the normal population,
Yeah.
starting recently.
Yeah.
You know, all the
Yes.
fentanyl
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
There was a very big scandal where someone was trying to sell drinks that was infused with, I think, fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure.
Yeah.
To high school students,
Yeah.
promoting them as like drink for concentrating for studying or whatnot.
Yeah.
That was a huge scandal.
But the fallout from that was mostly they wanted to do that to then blackmail them, right?
Yeah,
Right? Like it's I think this is a good example to bring up because it's highlighting the fact that even if a kid mistakenly got tricked into, let's say,
yeah.
taking a drink that had some fentanyl in it,
Yeah.
they would, I don't know, go to prison or face like severe repercussions from that,
Mm,
even if they were tricked into doing it, right?
maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway.
And so I think it was also influenced by how serious drug issues are in the US too. Because
Yeah.
we see it in the media and all.
So that one I will admit, the US is very scary right now for many reasons.
Yeah.
But this drug epidemic, the fentanyl abuse, it's out of control. It's
Yeah.
really scary. In my hometown where I grew up,
Mm,
right, there's definitely some sort of incident or case involving it.
mm,
Students are dying.
yeah.
And I think in San Francisco, where I came from too,
Mm,
it's like it's the whole city's in disarray because of it. So I don't want to like make light of the drug problem in general.
yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. Things like marijuana, for example. Growing up, I also thought it was like, oh wow, that's like a really bad thing to do, right? That's what I was taught growing up.
Mm,
But obviously, the public has turned completely 180.
mm,
I think in a matter of like 3 to 4 years, like
Mm.
marijuana is pretty much legal across all of the U.S. now,
mm,
and people know it's not that dangerous. In
Mhm.
fact, it's probably less dangerous than like alcohol,
yeah.
right? So, but
Yeah, so this episode is not about drugs, so we're not going to go deep into drug use issues, but anyways, I personally, as a Korean,
mhm,
I think it's only reasonable that the government is acting very strictly
mhm.
because they see the precedent of the US,
Yeah, yeah.
and now they see some things starting to happen in Korea as well. So they want to set a good example
Mhm.
and be very, very strict about this.
Yeah.
I think for a long time, Korea had pride in what we so-called 마약 청정국, which
Mhm.
translates to drug-free country.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Korea took pride in that for a long time, and now they see that we're not anymore.
Mhm.
And so I think the government is trying to set a good example. And this, again, this might be one of the, I forgot the word, conspiracy theories,
Mm.
that they're trying to scapegoat the celebrities because it's most impactful for the public.
I see. So
You know,
set
like-
an example with the celebrities so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
everyone knows we're not messing around
Yeah,
here.
other
Okay.
than Lee Sun-kyun, there was the G-Dragon, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
The result came negative, so, and it seems like he had no drug issues.
Mhm, mhm.
But anyways, so they're trying to set a
Precedent? Yeah.
with the celebrities.
I get it.
I don't know if it's true, but maybe.
And I can
Um,
appreciate that. I
yeah.
also am very happy that Korea is relatively drug free.
Yeah.
So I would like it to remain that way. But yeah, okay. As you said, it's not about drugs this episode.
Yeah. So the second one that you mentioned was adultery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I think the reason why the police started investigating in the actor
Mhm.
is it came from a confession that was made by, I don't know how I could call this in English. It's 룸사롱 madam,
Mhm.
hostess
Yeah. What's the right word? It's just a madam. Yeah.
So it was a fact that the actor had a relationship with the person.
Mhm.
That was probably true.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not a good thing, but Korea reacts very harshly on adultery and having affairs and all that.
I see.
So that was another reason that he was getting canceled,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of his drug use. Yeah.
On that one, it's interesting.
Yeah.
In America, at least, I think the expectation is almost that celebrities are having affairs, getting divorced,
Yeah.
remarried all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying in Korea, if a famous actor, cheats on his wife, they get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
It would that signal kind of the end? Is it hard for them to come back in their career after that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. And okay, as a Korean, I think this is normal. I think Hollywood is very, very jaded
I
now,
see.
and it's on the extreme. I don't know about cancel culture
Yeah.
per se, but I think it's not a good thing, and I think it's kind of normal that the public reacts this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of him as like not a good person.
Yeah.
And if you're a celebrity, you're basically getting all of your popularity and wealth is coming from the fact that people like you.
Yeah.
And if you're not a likable person, right?
Yeah.
It's very damaging for a celebrity.
Yeah, I understand. I have my own personal views on celebrity culture in general.
Yeah.
And pretty strongly believe like Americans are too much in love with celebrities and put them on too much of a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
But in a sense, like Koreans are putting the famous people even more on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think not just famous actors, but K-pop stars, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Their image has to be so squeaky clean,
Yeah.
right? And I, to be honest, as a Westerner, it's kind of foreign to me and kind of ridiculous. Like clearly, a lot of their appeal is from sex appeal, right? They're trying to like look good, look attractive, right?
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, they have to present very pristine, squeaky clean personal life and image.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just those are hard for me to reconcile.
Yeah.
Too much of a tangent, but how about sports stars in Korea? Are they also held to a similar, I guess, level of integrity on their personal life? Just because in the U.S., I mean, everyone knows, like every famous athlete, they're having, multiple affairs, sleeping around. Every time they travel, they're hooking up with someone else.
Yeah.
It's almost known,
Yeah.
and it's because, well, like it's expected of them.
Yeah.
We don't care about their personal lives. We just
Yeah.
want to see what they do on the field, right? So,
I think personally, I think it doesn't matter where they gain their fame, like whether they're a sports star, whether they're a K-pop singer or an actor or an actress. I think eventually it converges into a category called celebrity.
they're a celebrity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think in Korea, if you're a celebrity, you're always expected to behave very well.
Okay.
But I think it also relates to your image.
Yeah.
If your image to begin with was like, oh, I'm a very good person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then it's like betrayal.
Yeah.
If it's revealed that you're actually not.
I get it.
For instance, like the public reaction towards Lee Sun-kyun and G-Dragon I think was pretty different. Because like when G-Dragon was one of the suspects and was released to the public, the general perception, as far as I understand, was like, of course he did.
He's been in these drug allegations before, right?
Yeah.
Here we
and
go
I
again.
think it was if the results turned out positive and it was true, I think it's going to be much easier for him to bounce back.
I see.
Because people already kind of knew.
Okay.
And it was more surprising that he did.
He was negative. Got it.
But anyways.
Yeah, the third kind of, I guess, factor here is, because of cancel culture in Korea, basically this guy, the My Mister actor, all his things were being canceled, right?
Yeah.
And so can you talk a bit about what that would mean for him personally, financially?
Yeah. People, I think, knew about this because this was mentioned in his will, that he had a lot of pressure to pay the penalty, which was up to 100억, 10 billion Korean won, which equates to about 10 million US dollars. because he had a lot of like movies and dramas and commercials lined up, and
Yeah.
it all got canceled.
Yeah.
And I think in the contract there's probably something that if something happens and they can't release this, he has to pay a penalty or something.
Man. Yeah.
And it was so coincidental that he was on his peak of his career.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of things lined up, and
Yeah.
then this happened on the very peak.
Yeah.
So he had to pay back a lot of penalty,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a lot of pressure to him.
Yeah.
And this is according to himself. So
There's two things that I want to ask in response to that.
oh,
One, I don't know. The idea that a celebrity, if they get canceled, has to pay back, basically, not just forfeit their contract,
Mm.
right? Like what they would have earned, their salary,
yeah,
but also pay back basically the whole cost of what like they were starring in.
Mm.
I mean, that seems kind of crazy to me.
yeah,
It'd be like a sports star in the US, like if they play poorly, right, they have to pay for like the entire team's like losing ticket sales or something.
but that's different.
I don't know. Is
The
it?
equivalent of that is if Lee Sun-kyun acted badly
Yeah.
in a movie.
Yeah,
But the movie happened.
I see.
But this is like canceled totally and can't even release.
And that's because public pressure means they shouldn't release. Like, okay, this is where it's really hard for me to understand. I completely separate like what's his name,
Lee Sun-kyun.
Lee Sun-kyun, the actor, from Lee Sun-kyun, the personal person.
Mm.
So even if he's going through like horrible things, right, I'd
Mm-mm.
still might want to see his acting because he's
Yeah.
a good actor, right?
Yeah. I think you have a very particular and healthy view of how to view celebrities.
Yeah.
But I think it's just natural that it's very hard for the public to separate those
Mm.
two. Because you're a character in a movie, in a drama or whatnot.
Yeah.
But your career is also you as a person
Mm.
if you're a celebrity,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
I mean, in general, I think people are put celebrities too much on a pedestal in a sense,
Mm.
and have basically don't have grace for them when they mess up or fail, because everyone messes up, right?
Mm.
And I believe everyone's squeaky clean image is just that, it's an image.
Yeah.
Under the surface, like who knows how they are,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because of their press and their publicists and their team that's keeping them looking clean, even
Mhm.
when they might not be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just in general don't like to hold people to such a high standard.
Yeah, I think
it
you have
seems
a very
unfair.
healthy view, and I hope a lot of more people are like that.
I see.
But I also understand how people cannot separate celebrities' career and personal life.
Oh no, yeah. Trust me, Jun. I don't think I'm that healthy. Sometimes I see an actor or an actress.
Yeah.
I don't like their role that they're acting
Mm.
in a show or movie,
Yeah.
and I stop liking them because of that, even though they're acting.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, I almost want to say they didn't do a good job if it's so easy to
distinguish.
separate those two.
The second thing I want to bring up though is, again, $10 million is a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but Lee Sun-kyun, you would say he's like A-list, right? He was at the
He was
peak of his
Yeah.
fame,
Mm-hmm.
right? I guess maybe celebrities in Korea don't make quite as much money as like outsiders or Westerners might think they're making.
Mm.
Maybe just because the market's small relatively.
Mm.
Because I would have thought, with given being he's like one of the premier A-list male actors in Korea and has been for a while, right?
Yeah.
He should be able to kind of pay that back, is what I would
Mm.
think.
I think this is very interesting because it's coming from a very American point of view.
Mhm.
American celebrities, I think they're lucky in that if they made it in the U.S., it means that they're already an international star,
Mhm.
meaning that their market is so much more bigger
Yeah.
than people doing the same work outside of the U.S. I think it's very disproportionate, and it's only applies to artists in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like let's make an I don't want to say Japan. Let's make an example of a very famous actress in France or whatever.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not going to make that much money compared to an A-list actress in the US.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's just showing like some bias or preconceived like whatever
Yeah.
from my mindset
Mm.
that I forget that sometimes,
Mhm.
right? Even the most famous, richest celebrities in Korea,
Hmm.
they're not necessarily as wealthy
Hmm.
as celebrities in the US. So
I don't know about actors and actresses, but as far as K-pop goes, I know for a fact that the contract that the artists make with their agencies
Mhm.
was very unfavorable to the artists for a long time.
yeah.
So I was surprised to know that, let's say, like old school K-pop fans would know HOT.
Yeah.
They were like the
Oh yeah.
legendary boy band in Korea.
Yeah. They're like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like
Yeah.
Beatles level fame in Korea. Yeah.
But they didn't make a lot of money out
Yeah.
of that because of their contract was so unfavorable.
That's what I heard. It was
Yeah.
like almost borderline abusive towards the talent, right?
Yeah.
The agencies took all the money.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why they had to break up. And then there was a huge scandal after that and all
Yeah.
that. I think it changed a lot these days
Mhm.
because there were a lot of controversies and I guess there were a lot of scandals over this.
Yeah.
And then it to a point where it was almost unfavorable to the agency now
Mhm.
because they didn't stick with the agency for that long.
I see.
So it changed a lot. I think boy bands these days, I heard that even the ones that are not that popular
Yeah.
make a lot more money than before.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I am in general in support of that. I
Mhm.
think the talent should get more than necessarily the owners or agents,
Yeah.
agencies do. So
Yeah.
that makes me happy to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are I think 3 of the factors that drove him to commit suicide.
Yes.
Maybe now we can talk about suicide at large in
Mhm.
general. I mean, first of all, June, do you personally have you known anyone who's committed suicide, or 2 degrees away?
No, luckily I don't.
Okay.
But it is a big problem.
Yeah.
And also one of the reasons that maybe I don't know, even if it did happen, is because it's very taboo in Korea to talk about.
Okay, I see.
To the point where they wouldn't even talk about it. So
Mm.
even if there was a person that maybe 2 degrees away that I know
Yeah.
who committed suicide, I wouldn't know because they
Really?
wouldn't talk about it. Yeah.
Your friends would not. Let's say you did know someone who committed suicide.
Mhm.
You wouldn't bring up with your friends like, "Oh my
No.
gosh, did you hear X?
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
No.
How can we support their family, their friends, each other?"
I mean, if I'm very close, then
Yeah.
I would know. But
Yeah.
then 2 degrees away, they wouldn't tell you.
Wow. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's too taboo to the point where the media stopped using the word suicide
Mhm.
and they changed it to extreme decision.
I see. Just a euphemism for suicide.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyways,
It's so, again, that's surprising to me. It's so common,
mhm.
and yet for it to be taboo to talk about, again, those feel at odds to me a little bit.
Mhm.
The example or the analogy I wanted to bring up was, I thought it might be similar to gun violence in the US,
Mhm.
where, again, it's so common, right? But every time it happens, it's a huge tragedy.
Mhm.
But then nothing changes. Like the country just, you just move on to the next news cycle, and it's going to happen again and again and again.
Yes.
And I think in the US, there's a feeling of just like hopelessness. Like we can't change it.
Mm.
It doesn't make it less tragic, but there's nothing we can do to change it.
Yeah.
So is that how Koreans think about suicide? Is that how you think about it?
I don't think there's a sense of we can't do anything about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone views it as something obviously very tragic.
Mhm.
I personally see hope in it,
That's
and
good.
I'll tell you why
Yeah.
later. But anyways, I also wanted to draw a picture for our audience of how severe it is in Korea.
Okay.
I mean, people might know that Korea is number 1 amongst the OECD countries of suicide rate,
Mm-hmm.
25 per 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 times the OECD average.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that Japan would be up to
Comparable.
par,
Mhm.
but it's not. Japan is only 15 per 100K.
Wow. Yeah.
They say it equates to 1 suicide per every 39 minutes.
Oh wow.
And
That's crazy.
And it's number 1 cause of death amongst young people. I don't know how you define young people here.
Mhm.
Probably under 40.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think there's something it has to do with satisfaction of life.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's so surprising to me. Out of the 38 OECD countries,
Yeah.
what do you think the ranking of satisfaction of life is for Korea?
Out of 38,
Yeah.
I just guessed like 15, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's 36.
So second lowest,
Yeah.
third lowest. Yeah.
Yeah, after Turkey and Colombia.
Wow. Yeah.
And Colombia is going through a civil war. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something doesn't add up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of interpretations of why this is.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of how Korea is transitioning from a relationism society to an individualistic society.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the way of going to the individualistic society,
Yeah.
which is where I see hope. This is like the transition phase, is how I see it.
Mm.
It's because we're in the middle, right? We no longer have like the, I guess, social support system of the family anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and we're very individualistic in that way. But we have a hint of relationism where we have so much nunchi,
Yeah.
and there's so much social pressure,
Mm.
right? And with that, the high stress level
Mm-hmm.
of the society, like the combination, it's like the worst combination ever, right?
Mm.
And I think this is one of the reasons that for suicide, I think it's also very disproportionate to the elderly, because of, it also relates to elderly poverty and all that.
Yeah.
But because the elderly population, they grew up in a society where it's very relationism oriented,
Yeah.
where if you have a hard time, right, your families will help you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be your support system and all that. And now all of a sudden, the society changed so drastically where they can't lean to other family members anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they're poor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
Yeah. And they don't want to be a burden on
They
their
don't-
family,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So they just choose to end their
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
So, I mean, when we were having a personal conversation before, you said, like, for instance, for Lee Sun-kyun, you asked me, why couldn't he just like move to some other country, like let's say Australia, and live a happy life, right?
Yeah. He's still famous,
Yeah.
right? He can hopefully still get acting jobs
Yeah.
or do something else with his life, right?
Yeah.
That was definitely my immediate reaction to any suicide. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more that you could, I understand, let's say, like, I don't know, you're the only surviving member, your wife and kids died in a tragic accident.
Yeah.
You feel like you have nothing to live for.
Yeah.
Those I could kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
But this is more like, I don't know, I'm canceled as a celebrity.
Mm.
There's so much more you can still do with your
Yeah.
life, right?
I think it's very that's coming from a very individualistic point of view, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Korea, everything's still very related,
Mm.
and there's a thing called like pride, your 명예.
Yeah. Reputation, or is
reputation and pride together,
Oh.
kind of.
that pride? Wait, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They're melded into one?
I think the word 명예 has both, kind of.
Oh. I mean, they're two very different concepts, right?
Yeah. Reputation is more neutral, right?
Well, I mean, reputation is what others think of you.
Yeah.
Pride is what you think of yourself, right? Those are completely different topic.
Maybe
to me.
pride coming from reputation.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
But that's just highlighting, I think, the Korean psyche, though.
Yeah.
Like your reputation, your pride does come from your
Exactly.
reputation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So let's say for a celebrity, if you're canceled, right, your reputation, you don't have a reputation anymore in society, and that I think directly leads to a thinking of I don't have a meaning to live anymore, right? The hope that I'm seeing here is if you're heading towards more like a US point of view, individualistic society,
Yeah.
then I think people would start to not think of what other people think anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a little bit of, I guess, relief
Mm.
in that sense. That's where I see hope.
Well, let me ask you though. So obviously, as an American, a Westerner, right, very individualistic thinking.
Mm.
That mindset is just what I have naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying like moving towards that you think is progress and a good thing in certain ways. But I don't know. For me, it's like I see many advantages and positives of the collectivist mindset as well. So I don't know. Do you have thoughts on like abandoning one or the other?
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that an individualistic society is a good thing as a whole. I'm just saying it's a good thing for suicide, at least.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I hope is true.
Yeah.
But did we mention what the U.S. rate is? I just looked it up as well. It's pretty much on par with Japan.
Yes.
14 deaths per 100,000 people.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, another reason I think for the young people who are committing suicide is, of course, it's because of the super competitive nature of Korean society.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone is a competitor, and there's no one to lean lean to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I read from an article. The young generation right now, meaning like 20 to 30s,
Mm-hmm.
they worry a lot about economic stability
Yeah.
because they're the generation who went through the 1997 economic crash, the so-called IMF
Yeah,
era.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were the ones who were kids when they saw their parents losing their jobs and their financial situations getting very bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they worry a lot about economic stability, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, if they're not doing well in society, then it hits really hard on them. Speaking of for meaning of life, right? I think we mentioned this
Oh yeah, yeah.
before.
It's sad, yeah. Korea's number one, I guess, what value in life is money
Yeah.
over family and relationships and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It's really
So
sad.
some article mentions the absence of hobbies in Korean
Oh yeah,
society.
yeah,
They have nothing else to focus on.
yeah.
I think that was a very interesting point of view too.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this so many times,
Yeah.
but Koreans, if they pick up a hobby, they almost have to do it competitively, right?
Yeah.
It's not just for leisure, not just for fun or
Yeah.
pleasure or whatever. So
I also want to highlight the fact that Korean people always aim for the best.
yeah,
And what that also means is that they complain about things a lot.
yeah,
And if they complain about things in society, they always think that Korea is like the worst place to live in, right?
yeah,
And I think we highlight a lot in this podcast, especially from the point of view of you,
yeah,
how Korea as a society has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
There are a lot
yeah.
of good sides of it.
for sure.
And I think this podcast can help a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
understand how it's not that bad.
That would be a dream, right? If
Yeah.
I could help Koreans understand, hey, Korea's not so bad,
Yeah.
right? Like U.S. is not going to solve everything if you move there.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the point I wanted to make, which is previously you said, I think Koreans feel like there's no social net, like safety net for them, right?
Oh, yes.
And I thought that was crazy because when I hear the term social net, social safety net, I think of things like, okay, housing, welfare programs,
Yeah.
medical, like health insurance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which I think in Korea is going to be decent. But I think what you're highlighting is social safety net is more around, I don't know, relationships and reputation, right? Like if you fall from grace, you have nothing. No one's going to help you up anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's the people around you, not the government social safety net, but I think your personal network, right? I don't know. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think people definitely complain about the governmental social safety net as well.
Oh, okay. Man, Koreans have it quite good. Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? But also what I was talking about again before about individualistic society and relationism oriented society.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was talking about the support groups safety net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't get to is like netizen culture, which I don't want to get into too much.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to mention that too.
Yeah. Cause what's his name again? Lee
Sun-kyun.
Sun-kyun?
Yeah.
He's not the only, so many celebrities in Korea just end their life in suicide, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. The one thing I wanted to ask is, if I were a native Korean speaker, I would want to support this guy. Like, are there ways that I can go support him online and say like, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
We forgive you.
Yeah.
Like, there's more to live for, right? But why is that? Is there a way for me to do that? And like, two, why does it seem like that voice is drowned out by all the people hating on him and wanting him to fail, waiting to see him fail, right? Like telling him to kill himself and all that stuff. Yeah.
I think Korea, this relates to the fact that Korea is a very competitive society. Everyone is everyone else's competitor. And if someone has a chance of getting pulled down, they would go really hard on that. Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
It's a scary place to live.
And I also think this is my personal view, and this not only applies to Korea.
Yeah.
But I think the current generation, they lack morale. Right?
Yeah.
And so what they do is they want to feel better by criticizing other people's ethics. And it's so easy to just pick on someone's.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they just want to feel better. Oh, I'm a better person than that person. And that, like, as a collective act is very harsh
Ah.
if it's like centered towards one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there no like virtue though of like forgiveness or grace or supporting them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is so bad,
Yeah.
but I think Korean people only offer that when they know that they hit rock bottom and there's no way
I
for
see.
them to bounce up back.
I see.
And so I think there's a saying in Korea where if people like try to support you and all that,
Yeah.
it really means that you have no hope.
Oh wow. So it's almost like, well, I've really hit rock
Yeah,
bottom if
yeah.
people are supporting me
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
So is there a way though, every time like a celebrity is in a scandal that I
Mhm.
want to support,
Yeah.
I can't like go to some forum and be like, "Hiting," like upvote. There's no positivity to the comments.
We should make something like that.
It's just so sad to me, Jun.
We should. I mean, yeah, Korea. I think people are starting to realize how bad it is.
Yeah. There's a common thing where it's the vocal minority, and
Yeah.
maybe what you're saying is in this case it's not the minority,
Yeah.
it's the vocal majority. But in general, there's always an understanding that the loudest people,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be the vocal minority, right? The people that are
Yes.
hating,
Yeah.
criticizing, putting you down.
Yeah.
And there's, for every one hater, there's 10 people
Mm.
silently supporting you.
Yeah.
There's a general understanding that's true,
Mm.
but it feels like in Korea that's not the case, right? There's no silent majority supporting these people or wanting them to succeed, right? And bounce back.
Yeah. I think hateful comments has a stronger motivation
Mm.
for you to go onto the platform and actually invest in time to actually write it.
Yeah. Okay, but I don't read Korean news, Jun. When
Yeah.
you go to these articles about like Lee Sun-kyun or whatever, are there any positive comments
Now there are.
after he died? But
Yeah.
during the scandal, were there anything like,
No.
it's okay, we forgive you,
No.
you can get through this?
No, nothing.
That's just depressing. It's so depressing to me to hear.
Yeah.
I feel like in the US, at least, again, because of individualism,
Mm-hmm.
I'm free to support or to put down or whatever.
Yeah.
I think in Korea, the collective thing is like, well, if everyone's beating down on him, I don't want to be the one to step up
Yeah.
or to stand out
Mm-hmm.
and go against the trend and try to support this guy, right? So, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. I can't say I have hope after this conversation.
Mm.
I'm glad you have hope.
Mm.
But I do hope over time, I think Koreans can understand that, I don't know, you don't have to take such extreme action to end your life
Mm.
when you're going through a scandal or something that's really bad. And, what you started the episode on, I do hope some of those measures get put into place, right? To protect celebrities from, I think, slander, hateful speech, all these
Yes.
things. So,
Yeah. And I hope everyone understands that your personal relationship and the support system that it creates is very important.
Mhm.
I don't know what went through Lee Sun-kyun's mind and his friends and family,
Mhm.
but I just hope that if a lot of people just sent out like, supports to him personally, I mean, the public can't reach out to him personally, right? Then maybe it might have been different. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways. Okay. I think that's it for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
episode.
Let's wrap this one up.
Yeah.
It's obviously not the lightest of topics,
Yeah.
maybe even the heaviest of topics.
Mm.
It is something that I think I've known is an issue in Korea for a while.
Yeah.
But this was the first one that, I don't really follow celebrities at all. But I really, really did like this actor.
Mm.
And this one was really, really sad for me to hear. So
Yeah. I wanted to end this in a brighter note. And I see hope
yeah.
in the fact that if Korea is moving into a more individualistic society,
Mhm.
I think people in general will be more, I guess, liberated from
Mhm.
social pressure.
Yeah.
And also, I think I mentioned in some of the last episodes, but Korean people can change their minds so quickly.
Yeah.
In a good way too.
Yeah.
I think it's very tragic that we have to go through these sacrifices a lot, but I think the public is slowly starting to understand that this is not good.
Yeah.
This is wrong.
Mhm.
I think Korean public has the power to just like very change drastically.
Mhm.
So I also see hope in that as well.
That is encouraging for me to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
everyone for listening.
Thank you.
let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Send us comments, give us feedback.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Thanks for the support.
All right.
Bye. Can I ask one random question?
Yeah.
Do you know what the golden rule is? Have you heard of that?
In relation to what?
It's a common thing in the US saying
Yeah.
the golden rule.
Yeah.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Basically treat other people like you want to be treated.
Mm.
Is there a similar saying in Korea?
If anything, it's not as prevalent as it is in like that mentality
Yeah.
as it is in the US.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think okay. Because that, if you think about it, that's a very individualistic mindset. This is why I wanted to ask, right?
Mm.
Do to others as you would have them do to you.
Mm.
Like a collectivist version of that would be like, do what's right for the group, regardless of how you want to be treated individually, right?
Oh, I think that's a very interesting point. Yeah.
I can understand in Korean, like if people don't think that way,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, it's like, who cares what's best for you as an individual?
Yeah.
We want to do what's best for us as a society and
Mhm.
culture.
Yeah.
So, okay. But you're saying that saying does exist. It just might not be as like deeply held as what it sounds like as it is in the US.
I think so.
Okay.